truth? Bring it on.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Do you want the whole truth?
I don't think you're ready.
Governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people.
It's Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth.
Welcome back. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, following a wonderful news report from Chad Groening anchoring. Bravo. So you're up to speed on everything. That's what you get with AFR Talk. That's why you got to lock it in. Lock it in. AFR Talk. All right, we're going to be speaking to Ryan Morrow on the flip side of the break. But before we get to Ryan on Syria, I want to talk about the jobs report Friday, as well as a report coming on who's paying taxes and the cost of Obamacare. This impacts you because you're being told a lot of things, a lot of stuff, and it's not true. It's distorted. And so we bring in someone who delivers the truth. He is the Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union. His name is Pete Sepp. And Pete, great to be with you. Thanks for taking the time tonight.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is what Rick Santelli said, and I think that you can take what he said, obviously, and go and explain it to the rest of us. Here is Rick Santelli on the floor of the Chicago Exchange talking about the job numbers and how there's gamesmanship in the reporting. Roll it.
See, those people aren't working. They're not buying houses. They're not buying cars. They're using services. They may be using entitlements or welfare. You can't hide those millions of people forever. So we wonder why we see our costs to take care of people that are in between jobs rising faster than other areas, less improvement in the economy, not good GDP. That's why. And you can't play this three-card Monte game for long.
Hey, Rick.
And to see the stock market rally on crappy data, to me, is just a horrible dynamic. What are we, a banana republic?
Now, he's referring to people who are on government programs and benefiting from government programs. He's also talking about the declining workforce, and so we have a 7.3% unemployment number. That's down from 7.4%. Now, Pete Sepp, Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, that seems to be good news. Is it?
No, when you look behind that seemingly small piece of good news, you find a lot of other problems. And I'm not here to say that it's all depressing, but we need to be cognizant of the fact that the dynamics of government finance are shifting, and they're going in a direction that may not be sustainable. Yes, we saw that drop in the unemployment rate, but then again, the Washington Post itself, a liberal organ of news media coverage, reported over the weekend that the labor force participation rate is at its lowest level in 35 years. People are just not looking for work the way they used to. Some are getting government assistance. Others are simply dialing back their participation by taking a part-time job. So when you see a lower unemployment number like that, you have to look behind the figure. There are other signs, too. The Brookings Institution's Tax Policy Center is saying that there are 43% of tax-paying units, as they call them, in the United States that have no federal income tax liability, or even a negative one thanks to the earned income credit. They say that number's actually improving. It was closer to 47% in recent years, and it'll probably drop further. They say that the conservative media is misleading the public about the number of people not paying income taxes. But there's a story behind that story, too, and it is that the tax system as constructed in America today is still highly progressive, very dependent on a small section of society to provide most of the revenues for government. That is definitely not going to change in the near future.
Explain progressive, because some people are sitting there going, hey, it's a progressive tax, so that sounds, well, that's progress. That sounds pretty good. What is progressive taxation?
It basically means that as you earn more money, the faster you make money, the faster government takes it, and the more it takes. And this is not some phenomenon ascribed solely to millionaires. Take a look at the Congressional Budget Office's figures for the distribution of tax burdens. This is not just income taxes. This is payroll taxes and excise taxes, the kinds of levies that advocates on the left say the poor bear a huge responsibility for. Well, they do shoulder a heavier burden for them than they do for income taxes, but take a look at some of these figures. The bottom fifth of households in America, these are relatively low income, less than $50,000 a year for a family of four. They account for barely 5% of all the money earned in America, but they pay a 0.3% tax burden. Go to the top of the scale, the top fifth of earners in America. A family of four in that stratum, they will have about $150,000 of income. Very nice living in many parts of the country. They earn about half of the income in the United States today. They pay 68% of all the taxes. They are pulling a heavier tax load than they're earning in income. And again, that is for all federal taxes, including payroll tax. That picture is not going to change much in the near future.
Tell me what happens. See, I don't understand. You don't work, you don't eat, Thessalonians. And I mean, I know that left likes to beat up on that. And also the idea that 10% is enough for church plus gifts, obviously, if you can, to give more. But it sounds like we have this tax code that's going to take away the incentive to work harder because you're just going to be paying more to government. And the other part to that, Pete, is that we have this $16 trillion plus debt and yearly deficits, trillion plus every year until this year. And it's still 60% or 40% bigger than Bush's highest deficit. So my question is, it sounds like we need to have more money going in because we got to pay off our debt. And so obviously we all need to be paying more. Is that because we're told that they need more revenue? It's a revenue problem.
Well, that is, of course, the politicians' preferred answer. Never the answer of actually spending less money, perhaps getting back to the historical norm where we tended to spend at the federal level less than 1/5 of our annual economic output. Still no discussion about bringing it down to that more manageable level. And we, of course, continually hear this refrain, yes, the federal government needs more revenues. Well, the best way to actually deliver a stable revenue source to the government, one that isn't always subject to fluctuations in employment in the stock market, is to have a growing economy where people are allowed to keep more of what they earn. When they do that, they can save and invest for their own futures, be less dependent on government programs. They can invest in other types of small businesses that create jobs.
Can this work,
generate
Pete?
that economic activity, that happens to increase revenue.
Can this work? I mean, what you're talking about, can this work? And do we have a historical example? We're just running low on time, and I want to get, the fact that we don't have to have what we have right now. And I know that you and I are a believer in the fact that we don't have to, but explain real quick, please.
Absolutely. The income tax rate reduction proposed by John F. Kennedy, carried out in Lyndon Johnson's administration, boosted incomes, boosted employment, boosted economic growth. The Ronald Reagan income tax rate reductions did the same. The capital gains tax rate reduction Bill Clinton signed into law in 1997 also did this. There's numerous historical pieces of evidence to suggest that keeping taxes low or reducing them will boost the economy.
Pete Sepp, National Taxpayers Union. Always want more time with the people. We appreciate the time you make for us. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Take care. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Okay, questions on Syria. Who are the rebels? What is Putin doing? Is this a victory for President Obama and Vladimir Putin? Could this be a new world order? New world order. Well, Brian Morrow's going to answer all those questions. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. AFR Talk.
California court upholds ban on change therapy. I am Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. We'll talk about this next on Freedom's Call. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld California's ban on change therapy, citing the state's right to prohibit types of therapy deemed harmful, even though there is absolutely no research on the effect of change therapy on minors. The minors that we represent are overcoming unwanted same-sex attraction, and they are experiencing improved grades, self-esteem,